Welcome to my YouTube channel. Click in the lower right hand side and subscribe if you enjoy these kind of mysteries. Not one drop of blood. Cattle mysteriously mutilated in Oregon. This is breaking news as of October 8th. From Northwest News Network. In the early morning light, dust from the hooves creates a fog at the Silvies Valley Ranch in remote eastern Oregon. The cowboys whistle and talk low to their eager herding dogs. They're moving the cattle from one vast sage-studded range to another. 5 young purebred bulls mysteriously showed up dead on the ranch this past summer, drained of blood and with body parts mysteriously and precisely removed. The ranch's vice president, Colby Marshall, drives his truck down a U.S. Forest Service road. Then we'll get out and take a little walk to where one of the bulls was found, and there the carcass is still there, Marshall says. Coming upon one of the dead bulls is an eerie scene. The forest is hot and still, and apart from a raven's repeating caw, the bull looks like a giant deflated plush toy. It smells weirdly, and there's no sign of buzzards, coyotes, or scavengers. He's bloodless and his tongue and genitals have been surgically cut out. Marshall says these young livestock were reaching their peak value for breeding bulls. They're worth $6,000 each. Finding these young Herefords in this remote country can sometimes take ranches experienced cowboys days. It's rugged. I mean, in this frontier, if some person or persons had the ability to take down a 2,000-pound range bull, it's not inconceivable that they wouldn't have a lot of problems dealing with a 180-pound cowboy. A lot of people in the town lean toward aliens, Jenkins says. One caller had told us to basically look for a depression under the carcass, because he said the alien ships will kind of beam the cow up, do whatever they're going to do with it, and then they just drop them from a great height. Now, don't you find that interesting that they know this from past experience? Jenkins says cases have been tough with little evidence and no credible leads. On his whiteboard, he has a list of top theories: bears, wolves, cougars, poisonous plants. None of the animals were shot. The FBI won't confirm or deny that it's looking into multiple slaughters. 2 years ago, and 200 miles south near Princeton, Oregon, one of the Andy Davies cows was also found cut up and bloodless. She and her husband drove concentric circles around the corpse. They never found any tracks. In this dusty country, everything you do leaves tracks, Davies says. Back in the 80s, Terry Anderson's mother, her cows mysteriously were killed overnight. Standing at his ranch near Pendleton, Oregon, Anderson points to the exact spot he found her on top of the mountain. Her udder removed with something razor sharp and not a drop of blood anywhere. He has never gotten over it. It just left a really strange feeling with me that day. You can't explain it, Anderson says, and no one else has been able to explain it. The Silvies Valley Ranch has put up a $25,000 reward for information that could solve the case. Let's consult the tarot cards and see. Now, I've got this UFO deck, which is, you can't use just this deck because it's all UFOs, right? It's all aliens. So we can't use this, but we're going to pull 2 cards on this, and then we're going to grab a normal tarot and pull some cards. What happened to the cows, the bulls that were found bloodless in Oregon just recently? We want to know, and let's pull 2 cards from the UFO tarot deck to see if we get any clues. So there's a lot of people headed toward an alien ship. And then we get, just like in the article from the other place, they might float up the cow, do what they want, drop it. So it's interesting that this card came up and that there's numerous of these. Numerous. So we'll just leave those 2 cards up. And then we'll go to the regular universal weight, which is kind of my serious deck. What actually happened to the bulls that were found with no blood and very precise missing organs from their body parts? This is going to be interesting. I already am looking at this, and I see that this is the wands. It's the 5 of wands. Okay, so there's it's a group. And now the wands can be spiritual. So we could deem this as a spiritual group. But then we also get a pentacle here. All right, we get a pentacle. Human beings involved. And she's looking at the 5 of wands, okay? But remember, there's no tracks found. So there's no tracks found. Here's a kind of a bull-like creature on her chair, ironically. And she's very focused on what she's doing. Could this be a collaboration of humans and spirits? I'm going to, humans and aliens. I almost want to say yes, and I'll tell you why. And I'll grab some other tarot decks here also. We've got a wand here. So we've got what could be an alien, because King of Wands can be a spiritual. Wands are spiritual. And this reptile here can lead me to believe that this is a reptile race. Now, yeah, you can laugh at this, but let's put the story together. I think that there's humans that are aware of this. That's what this card's about. They're aware of this. But I think there's also fear in them, because there's a child hiding, trapped, feeling trapped. This is a master. So this is spiritual. This is spiritual. This confirms something being lifted up into the ship. Okay? Now, you don't have that in any of the rest of the cards in the UFO deck. You don't have people being lifted up into a ship. That's the only one. So, the fact that this came up, and I got 2 wands cards, because remember, the tarot cards are not created to address aliens, all right? That's really not what they were created for. So you're not going to really have alien cards, but the wands come the closest to it, because those are spirit cards. And then I can't help but notice this reptile. So I feel like this is a reptilian race. I'm just going to grab another deck, and we're going to just see, what do we have to know about this? So obviously the reward is worthless, because you're never going to catch oh my. This is so strange. What is he being caught by? Something's wrapping him up. Yeah. So now this is a human, not a cow, but so we're looking at this from the bulls. They're definitely penetrating the animal and draining the blood, whatever this is. And this is dead. 10 of swords, the guy's normally laying on the ground with 10 swords in his back, and it can be a card that something died. So this is definitely an influential card in this situation. So here's the last card I'm going to pull on this. And folks, we get another wand card. I think we're getting the message pretty clear. Look at the planet up there, and that might be the phase of the moon. But this person is literally bowing down to to the wands, bowing down to the king. Sorry, my camera's having trouble focusing because I got my hand in here. So this is looking like I'm going to create the theory that this could very well be aliens involved. I mean, you can come up with your own theory, but this is pretty clear to me that this is a master race because of the king. And you always have to remember, what, you know, the tarot cards will give you really good hints, and especially if you have decks that have unusual artwork. The fact that I'm pulling wands in here and tens, the swords piercing and no blood on him. There's no blood on him. He's being stabbed by these swords and there's no blood on him. Something is going on here, folks, and it's not good. You know, well, I can't say it's not good, because what if they're draining the blood to help the human race? Well, let's ask. This will be interesting. Which deck do I want to use for this? I'm gonna grab Robin Wood. Is the draining of the blood of these cows, is this in any way going to benefit the human race? This is going to be interesting, folks. I mean, here, I'll just let you, I'll see, so you can see that I'm shuffling and I'm not pre-picking out these cards. I just feel like I have to do it in front of you because this is what I have to do. Because we always assume the worst, right? Is the draining of the blood of these cows going to help the human race in any way? And see, I just don't even know what card this is, and I pull it down. So they're working on something. Okay, so they are definitely working on something, the building blocks of changing something. And wherever you pull one card, you should always pull more than one, because you never know if it's the positive side of that or the negative side. We are definitely getting beings from the stars, and they're trying to blend DNA. See how they're taking some DNA here, some DNA here. I mean, these are obviously containers, but they're blending something into a gene pool. They're messing with the gene pool. Oh, but why with a bull? They're messing with a gene pool. I think this is to benefit their planet. I think they're needing the DNA from down here, because look how lit up their planet is. I never thought that this reading would go in this direction, and that's what you just never know where these readings are going to go. So I believe that they are working on improving. See, this is going up the ladder. This is normally the work card, and you can work your way up the corporate ladder. But they're working their way. They're carving out something very specific here. Like they're almost eliminating parts of the DNA or certain parts. They're eliminating certain parts, but this is to benefit their planet. It's up in the sky that's lit up that we need to notice, not the human race. Not the human race. This is benefiting wherever they're from, and their race. Final thoughts, Robin Wood deck. I'm talking to my tarot deck. I talk to my cartoon paper all the time. Final thoughts on this drained cattle blood situation. There you go. There you go. A lot of fear around this. There is going to be a lot of fear around this, because to what extent are they doing this? I mean, are they taking human DNA also? Because here's a human in this card. But right now we're doing the reading on the cattle. This is going to create a lot of fear. Not that I want to create fear in you, because I don't like to have my videos create fear. But let's just say this is going to create an awareness, okay? Let's just say that this is going to create awareness that maybe we don't know everything that happens on our planet. And I think knowledge is power. So let's go with the fact that rather than be fear-based, let's be aware. Let's become aware that definitely if the farmers can say, yeah, they raise the cattle up and then they drop them and there's an imprint on the ground. If they know this, and this card is validating that, you have to pay attention to this. Whether you believe this or not, just become aware. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to believe it, but let's all become aware that maybe there's more to this planet and what goes on here than what we realize. Let's just leave it at that. And thank you for joining me on these videos.